Hey everybody, Yankee here. Unless you didn't watch a single gun channel yesterday, I'm pretty sure you're already aware that Smith & Wesson has dropped a new product. They dropped the Smith & Wesson M&P FPC. Now what does FPC stand for, you might say? Well, that's easy. It's folding pistol carbine. That's what it is. It's a folding pistol carbine. It's a 9mm carbine rifle that folds in half. And reactions to this have been mixed. I've been getting emails from people saying everything from Smith & Wesson just revolutionized the gun industry to Smith & Wesson just copied a KelTec. And today I want to address that because, the Smith & Wesson M&P FPC is very close to a sub 2000 from KelTec. So I want to go over what the FPC is, and then I want to compare it to the KelTec and say which one of these two do I think is actually better. Is the M&P going to be noticeably better than the sub 2000, or is it going to be just different? Just a different option. Well, I know a lot of people are going to say right now, you're not going to like the sub 2000 because you hate KelTec. Well, I have always said, though, that the sub 2000 is the only gun from KelTec that when people say they have it, I don't, my willy doesn't shrivel up a little bit because I'm like, that one I actually kind of like. It's a very simple gun. It's a very effective gun. It's a reliable gun. It's basically a pipe with a trigger. Even KelTec couldn't mess that up. But now Smith & Wesson is doing their version, and I want to see which one do I think is the better gun. Now, when you look at the FPC, you're going to see it's very similar to the sub 2000. It is a pistol caliber carbine that folds in half. Now, it does have some nice features on it. Some of my favorite features on this are the fact that it holds 2 magazines in the stock. That's great. It comes with one 17-round magazine and 2 23-round magazines. So you're ready to go right there with the magazine in the gun plus 2 higher capacity mags right there contained in the stock. That's great. And it comes in a nice case in case you want to keep this in the trunk of your car, etc. It also has a threaded barrel, so it's suppressor ready. So it's an overall nice little package here. But how does it compare to the KelTec Sub 2000? Well, to be honest, they're both very similar. If you look at them here side by side, you can see they're very similar guns. They're meant to do the same thing. Also, they're very similar in price. They're both going to be selling in that, $500 to $600 range if you can find a sub 2000. They're both similar weight. Now, the Smith & Wesson is a little heavier. The sub 2000 is 4.25 pounds, whereas the M&P FPC is 5 pounds. But that's because the M&P is built a little sturdier. I'm sure no one's going to argue with that. KelTec doesn't exactly build heavy-duty guns. Smith & Wesson is a little better about that. So in this case, being a little heavier is a good thing. So that's a small difference. There's really no difference in the size. They're both about 30 inches long, about 15 and a half inches when they're folded up, something in that range. So very similar there also. There's just not a lot of difference in them when it comes to their basic overall footprint or purpose. One big difference between them is the way they fold. The Smith & Wesson folds to the side, whereas the KelTec folds upward and over. So that's a little bit of a difference, but that's just preference, which one you would prefer there. To really see which one of these is better, you're going to have to look at some other differences. Some places where they actually vary from each other. Now, one of the places they vary, other than, like I said, the weight, which I think in this case is a good point, would be, build quality overall. That's related to the weight I was talking about, because I do think the Smith is built a little better than the KelTec. There's not a lot of visible nuts and bolts. It's a little bit better design. So I think build quality would go slightly in favor of the Smith & Wesson. And therefore, if you were basing your decision on price, I think you would go with Smith & Wesson because you're getting a better gun for basically the same price. Now, here's where the guns start to vary quite a bit. And this is where you're probably going to make your decision if you're basing it on something other than price and just a slight difference in build quality. First off is the magazines. Now, the Smith & Wesson only uses Smith & Wesson magazines, but the KelTec can take Glock mags or other mags if you buy different mag releases. So it's a lot more versatile when it comes to what magazines it can use. So if you've got a bunch of Glock magazines already, you're probably going to want to go with the sub 2000. That would be a better choice for you. Another thing relating to the magazines is capacity. since it does take Glock magazines, and since Glock magazines come in a greater variety of capacities, including higher capacities, you're going to have an advantage with the KelTec if you want higher capacity. So if that's what you're basing your decision on, well then the KelTec would be the gun for you. And one more thing that's kind of related to magazines, but not completely related to magazines, where I think one gun has a distinct advantage is caliber. The M&P is only 9mm for now, whereas the KelTec is available in .40 Smith & Wesson. So that gives you another option for a more powerful round than the 9mm. So if caliber is your main concern, you want a higher caliber than 9mm, well then the Sub 2000 is really your only choice in this situation. So as you can see when you compare these two guns, did Smith & Wesson make a gun just like the Sub 2000? Well, it's a little bit different, but it's close enough to say that they are definitely related. They're very similar. And which one is better? Well, I guess it's going to depend on what you think is more important. Both of these guns are going to be great for what I think most people would use them for, which is to stick them in their trunk. And if things ever go bad, they're trapped away from home, be it natural disaster, civil uprising, whatever, and you need weapons to defend yourself until you can get home. Now with this in your trunk, not only do you have a sidearm that you should be carrying on you, but you also have a rifle, a pistol caliber rifle that you can take with you now, that you can just pop right out and have it available to go. I think that's what most people are going to use these for. So when it comes to what they're being used for, both of these will be great. But like I said, if you're basing your decision on build quality alone, the Smith. If you're basing it on price alone, the Smith. If you're basing it on capacity or caliber, well then the Sub 2000. But I think overall in the end, if you're going to base it on which one is probably a slightly better gun overall, and you're okay with 9mm, I'm going to say the Smith would probably be the better overall choice, but you can't go wrong with either one. To this new gun, which the FPC... You know, unless you're living under a rock, if you watched any gun channels yesterday, those two things don't go together. Hey everybody, Yankee. Oops, I don't have my microphone in the right spot. Unless you didn't watch a single... People have had mixed reactions. But in this... Either one of them has merit, and that's not what I want to do at all. Since sliced bread, YouTube. I've been getting bread to M&P, not M&P. Bread, M&P just revolution, not M&P. Hey, M&P just copied KelTec, not M&P. Hey everyone, Yankee here. You know, in my videos, we often cover some complicated subjects with a lot of gray area. So if you would like to further discuss anything said in my videos, please join us in one of my live chats. Live chats are held most days at 6 p.m. Pacific time, except for Monday and Wednesday when they are at 5 p.m. Pacific. There is a clickable link to the live chats in the upper right-hand corner of this video. If you disagree with anything I've said in a video, feel free to participate in Spank the Yank. You can come on the live discussion panel and let me know face-to-face how I was wrong.